Hello, my name is Ramon Bassett, your host, along with our producer, Brennan Lambrecht. Brennan, the last episode, we talked with Hans von Art, the president and founder of Voyager Nets. They work closely with park districts to help them streamline community reach and engagement through texting and messaging. In today's episode, we're going to discuss the life-saving technology of gunshot detection. With mass shootings becoming commonplace in our society and the need to alert law enforcement as fast as possible so that they can respond that quickly, you want to make sure that you have the right gunshot technology in place so it can be effective and accurate.
Ramon, I could not possibly agree more. And that's why today's guest is Alyssa Conejo, the president of MidTech Security. They specialize in working with law enforcement in providing artificial intelligence and gunshot detection. She is here to discuss EAGL Technology, a gunshot detection technology that is unlike any other on the market and was developed by the federal government.
Hi, Alyssa.
Hello.
Welcome to Cyber Connect, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so to start, why don't you give our listeners a quick background of yourself and why you decided to focus on artificial intelligence and gunshot detection with your company, MidTech.
Sure. Personal background, I majored in law enforcement, minored in homeland security. Really just enjoy working with law enforcement and got into this industry probably 7 or 8 years ago and fell in love with it. So I'm like, oh, I might as well branch out, start my own thing. And came across EAGL Technology and then our other artificial intelligence platform that we use right now. And EAGL Technology blew my mind on what they can provide. And the cool thing about EAGL, which I know we'll dive a little bit deeper, just to give a general overview of their technology, they, like you said, the federal government, but this happened after Sandy Hook of how this technology got developed. So after the whole unfortunate Sandy Hook situation, the federal government's like, hey, we need to make something for these mass shooting situations. And thankfully, the Department of Energy created this technology that we'll dive more deeper into that detects the actual energy, physical energy that's released by a gun. Completely different than any other technologies that are
out there. That's amazing. When you first approached us and told us about this technology, I just was amazed on the detail and how specific it is and why that's important. Because I believe all the technology that we provide is really important, and affects lives. But this right here literally protects and saves lives. And making sure, because there's other technology out there for gunshot detection, yet you want to make sure you have one that is effective and accurate. Absolutely. Because it's lives that are being saved or lost. So that's incredible. So having said that, what does separate EAGL Technology gunshot detection from all the other gunshot detection options on the market?
It's a great question. So that's the question that everyone asks.
Yep.
What makes you different? So the biggest thing that EAGL does versus other competitors is they detect the actual physical energy that's released by the muzzle. So compared to, we'll just leave that for your guys' thoughts. So comparing it to other technologies, they actually listen for the gunshot to go off. So it's a live mic on the sensor or however they deploy it, and they listen for the gunshot. Then after that, they have to have a third-party verification to then determine if it was a gunshot, if it was a firework, if it was some kind of construction going around in the area, 2x4 falling on the ground, any kind of weird noises that do sound similar to a gunshot, but that's why they have to have a third party verification.
Well, I'm sure that's important because obviously you don't want to send a false alarm.
Correct.
But that seems like it takes some time. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
No, then that perfect segue into my next point. It takes too much time. That is lives lost. So typically, if it is the mic, like how they're listening for the audio, it takes about 60 seconds for them to verify. With EAGL Technologies, because it's measuring the actual energy of the gunshot, it alerts you within 5 to 7 seconds.
Wow.
Instantly. And they don't need any third-party verification because there is barely any false positives on there. That's what makes a huge difference versus EAGL versus our competitors in our industry. So
yeah, that's what amazed me when I heard about that. And we just thinking about how that energy signature is unique to different sounds, right. But also it's also unique to the type of weapon and bullet and round that is fired, right?
Yep.
So a 9mm will sound differently than a 40 caliber, 45 caliber, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the signature is even different for that too. It's just how much, gunpowder is released and forced through the muzzle to then release that bullet. So yeah, they can definitely tell the difference between the signature of the bullets and the caliber of the gun, which is incredible too. And not just rely on like a human being to be determining that based off of sound.
And that also knowing that the difference of because it's all about notification.
Absolutely.
Notifying the proper authorities, doing it quickly, and also I'm sure it's very important to provide as much information to them, correct?
Absolutely.
Because so if they know kind of the type of weapon that is being used, they can respond properly, or
Yeah, and just to segue off of that too, the amazing thing about EAGL is it does integrate with their, say a school per se has an existing camera infrastructure, has an existing access control system. It integrates seamlessly because they have an open API system, so they will be able to talk to any kind of camera systems, existing access control. So God forbid, if there was an active shooter happening, we can hit and a gunshot went off, it could lock down the entire school at once. And then not only that for the access control part, but then take a video stream of where that sensor is located and the nearest cameras around the area. So then the police officers know before they're even dispatched into the building of exactly where that shooter is. So that's a whole piece of, it's incredible of what EAGL can do. And yeah, I'm just excited to be repping it.
Yeah, it's just the lives that can be saved.
Absolutely.
I mean, unfortunately, it is commonplace, and so you're going to have to deal with it, and this provides the best way to deal with it quickly and reduce the loss of life. Now, you mentioned about sensors and everything, so what kind of sensors does EAGL Technology use? How far from the sensor is it effective, and those types of things? So what does it kind of actually look like? And
so think about for the interior sensors. So they have a bunch of different types of sensors. The interior ones are the size of a smoke detector. Okay. So super small, and I'll dive a little bit deeper into, remind me to mention how the installation aspect works. Yeah. The exterior ones kind of just look like you can attach it to a pole side of the building. It just looks like a lamp or a light. Yeah. And it's super light and it's not heavy at all. It's less than a pound. For the radius of the interior and exterior, they go up to 100 feet. Okay. The exterior goes up to 600 feet. Wow. Yeah, so it's pretty mass coverage, and it's not just like 180 degree, it's 360. So the sensor is a 360 instead of a 180 compared to our competitors.
You mentioned about the installation. Is this does it take a lot of time to do that? Is it a difficult thing to install it? And then after that, how do you as your company, before doing it, do you guys do a site walk? How do you establish where and what position and which sensor to use?
Yeah. So in the beginning, we'll do a site walk. We'll map everything out. They have the layout of the building. We'll map everything out and make sure that it's the correct amount of sensors. And we go back to EAGL and they verify, hey, yes, this is a good coverage. And then after we deploy, then we actually do a 2-week test, an offline test, to make sure that the system is actually working. Okay. And I will go back, I'll dive a little bit deeper of how we test it.
Right, yeah.
But for the installation purpose, it is such a simple install. There's no cable required.
Wow.
It's a simple, it takes 5 minutes or less to set up a sensor, interior, exterior. I mean, in a bucket truck, it's going to take you longer probably to go up the bucket truck and then to slap it on a pole or the side of a building. But the battery life is 5 to 7 years. And you can see in the platform of how much battery life you have left. So it's not a shock, oh my gosh, my sensor just went out. So it'll give you like a percentage. Hey, it's good. Maybe we should start switching out those batteries. It's 40%. Let's go ahead and switch those out. So you don't have to really worry about it. It's really set it up and leave it.
Right.
It does do once a day like a heartbeat to make sure that the sensors are working. And if they're not, you'll be alerted on that too. And then like I said, the installation portion is so simple and it integrates with current infrastructure and it's phenomenal.
Well, and I think that's also important on the integrates with the infrastructure, because I know we'll talk about where's the best types of businesses or organizations that this would be a good use case here in a moment. But I know a lot of that is they're looking at a project and then they're like, wow, how are we going to get it from here to there? Right. What about all this and like other technologies? Mm-hmm. And knowing that, I'm sure that makes it a lot easier to be able to implement.
Absolutely. And even for the exterior, so people don't get confused, the exterior has an LTE card on it.
Okay.
So it's able to talk and it's all included in the price. So if a gunshot does go, say it's in a pole in the city somewhere, the gunshot goes off, you still don't need any cable. You don't need anything. It's just an LTE talking to the cloud, and then bada bing, bada boom, you're alerted.
Wow. So about distinguishing, because you have it in the street, on a pole, you have it, and I know in across the country in a lot of large cities, there's a lot of I know in Chicago area, Chicagoland, there's always construction going on. There's always the jackhammer going off. There's always that. So, with measuring the energy of that's the key to be able to help distinguish that.
Yes, absolutely. So it does. I mean, there, knock on wood, has been no false positives yet to date. So it's 99.7% accurate, which is incredible to say. Yeah. And just the confidence level, I guess, that's the reason why I really started looking into this EAGL technology, because the other ones, unfortunately, are less than 70% accurate. And I'm like, that's just not enough for me to be able to, sell a product with confidence that, hey, if there is, God forbid, a gunshot that went off, I would feel awful repping a company and not being able to, help these poor people in a building or out on the street, etc. So
right, and I heard a statistic about how law enforcement knows that they've done a study that in a mass shooting that gunshot every 15 seconds, I believe it is, just about, and so that's in a minute. That other gunshot technology that doesn't utilize, that's not as effective, it takes a minute, so that could be 4 lives by the time it gets even notified.
Correct.
Right? Is that so that was the sobering part, because why? So that's incredible and very important. Now, so what are some of the locations you talk about? You mentioned a school, you mentioned a city light pole or pole. So what are some of the good scenarios to be able to put it in? I mean, who would, our listeners, if who would be ideal to, that should be like, I need to learn more about this?
Absolutely. So not even just schools, honestly, hospitals have a lot a lot of shootings that happen there. You'd be shocked to see the statistics on it. So I would say schools, any type of municipality, hospitals, even gas stations, which I want to kind of go into the other sensors that they have. Segue that off right now. Might as well do that while we're talking about it. So not only do they have just gunshot detection, they have panic buttons. They have transit, which I would love to see this technology be in our school buses.
So what does that mean?
Transit, so it's a gunshot detection. There's GPS on it. There's a panic button. So if the bus driver, something happens, they can press a button and you can determine if, say it's just, there's a fight on the bus. You can press it 2 times, however you want to coordinate. Hey, it's not a gunshot type of thing, or, you know, a weapon has been shown. It's, hey, I just need someone dispatched out here to help me. So there's a lot more. It's more like a mass notification system to really just incorporate all aspects of, oh my gosh, what the heck is happening? I'm panicking scenario. So they not only have, like I said, the panic button, they have the transit. They also have a body worn one. And this would be amazing for correctional facilities because they're not allowed to have weapons on them.
Yes.
So what if they're in, you know, a big fight in the jail cell or something, and the police officer falls down to the ground and doesn't have the capability of, you know, calling for backup? Well, this detects if the police officer has fallen to the ground and will then alert whoever needs to be alerted to then come and see what the scenario is.
So this is so all-encompassing, more than, and I'm learning a lot here, just to where it's more than just a gunshot.
Absolutely.
And I would imagine that anybody in law enforcement or any employer or anything that would really feel so much more comfortable knowing that their staff has the necessary tools to not only defend themselves, but also their students, their employees, their you know, I mean, we're very fortunate to work with a lot of law enforcement officials, and they really take their job seriously of protecting even those that are in their care, and they use that term care. I mean, it's not like, you know, they know that laws have been broke and they you know, they're going through the justice system, but they really do care.
Right.
And knowing that they can provide the safety, I would imagine that would be something that they would really feel comfortable with and want to learn more about.
Absolutely. So, I mean, there's really a good fit. This is what's amazing about EAGL. They're a good fit for really any type of industry, any type of client. What you have they have a fit. Even if you don't want gunshot detection, but you want a panic button.
Yeah. You
want, you know, transit. I mean, you don't have to necessarily have the gunshot detection if that's not what you need, but it's there.
But it could even be, you know, like the body worn, that term automatically puts in someone's mind that it's for a law enforcement. But you said, you know, they could actually, it's really more of a mobile to where you can be on the person. It could be like somebody working on a job site somewhere that if like heavy equipment or something, to where if there's a fall or any type of malfunction with that person falling down or, you know, or whatever, that it can signal help.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good idea you got there.
Yeah, well, it's just, you know, why limit it? Especially now knowing, and I, you know, obviously we know about this, but not as much as that. That's incredible. That's great. So now, if one of our listeners is like, yes, I mean, this is something I really need to know about, what if they're like, but you know, this sounds like it's too good to be true, or it's, wow, I don't know. I mean, this is, you know, a lot of people make these claims, and this is real serious stuff. So what about, you know, how, if they want to see it in action, or how did you come first? Let me ask you this: how did I know your background and why? But you saw it in action, didn't you?
Yes.
And then how could somebody say, you know, I really am interested in this, but I need some proof. Can I see it in action? So walk me through that.
So I had the same exact thought process. I'm like, this is too good to be true. Like, there's no way that this is going to do what it says it's going to do within 5 to 7 seconds. Like, yeah, maybe it worked, but it might be like, just like our competitors say that this is the best product. And I'm like, no, I got to go see it. I got to touch it. I got to feel it. So I flew out to Florida because a few of the EAGL reps live in that area. So I flew out there and went to a gun range and did a live demo. So yes, I was the one shooting the gun. I'm like, I got to try it myself.
Right, yeah.
And then we had a computer set up next to us that shows you the platform, and then also it can alert you on your phone too. So we kind of had that all set up. So I'm like, okay, how long does it really take? Which I hope you guys after this podcast can go view that live video that I had.
Yeah.
There's the alert coming from the sensor.
Yeah, so that's, I was about to say that you can check out the video that's going to be on our YouTube channel after the podcast. During the podcast, you'll be able to actually see it in action.
Yeah, which is great. I hope you guys all go watch it. But another way to do a live demo, we can go to a range. We can go to the police officers, whatever they're comfortable with. We set up a sensor. Takes less than 10 minutes to set up the whole system. So we can just deploy it, interior gun range, exterior, whatever they're comfortable with. Also, if they're like, no, I don't really want to do live fire, they have what it's called a daser. So it's kind of like a taser, but it's a daser.
Okay.
And it releases energy to be able to test to see if that sensor works. And that's kind of how, like I said earlier, they do a 2-week testing process to make sure everything is working. They use that daser to set off the sensors in the offline mode to make sure that, hey, yes, okay, this is sensing from over here. The radius is the correct, the sensor's in the correct spot for the radius. So that there's multiple ways of how to test it. It's just really up to the client of like, okay, what process do you really want to take? There also has been where we would take like a bucket of sand and put it in the end of a hallway at school, like obviously with no kids and no one in there, but then they would take a live fire and fire it into the sand bucket. Yeah. So there's multiple ways to do it, but like I said, it's just however the client feels comfortable testing it.
So I'm just thinking even, I was thinking police chief, sheriff, school superintendent, municipal leader would be, people that should be really wanting to know about this. But now I'm thinking like the operations person on the busing, not only the school busing, but also public transit. I'm thinking construction crews. I'm thinking, correctional. I think there's a lot that should be able to do that.
And if I could make one more comment too, now that my brain is churning. So the other thing I want to mention as well, there has been, there's been like parades or stuff that's happening in the town that usually doesn't happen per se. Big events. Well, we can deploy this and take it down. So we can deploy it out for that timing that the entire event's going on, and then deploy that temporarily, have gunshot detection for that town for X however long they need it, and then we just take it back, take it down. And then
that
deploy
right
somewhere
there,
else.
I think, because, having, municipalities that are hosting these events, park district, like I said, our last episode was about park districts, and have all these different things. I know they do a lot of hosting of concerts, all of that, to be able to have something that is temporary, effective but temporary, and it can be deployed in multiple different places. That's I could see where that can be very beneficial.
Absolutely.
On that, so it's not a permanent. It doesn't have to be a permanent thing. It can be very flexible and tailored to whatever you're trying to accomplish.
Nailed it.
Yeah, that's incredible. So make sure that you guys check out the video version of this podcast, because then you'll be able to see that live fire test and demo. on that. So, Alyssa, thank you very much for being our guest today. It was fun. It was very informational. I learned a lot. Like I said, my mind now is like going, well, bad pun, but firing of different people that I should be, we should be contacting, or they should be contacting us on how to do that. So thank you very much, sharing how, communities can be safer and that they can rely on the technology, not have to second guess, and not have to worry about that to be able to do that. Obviously, we wish that this never had to be invented,
Right.
and that we want it to obviously not happen. Unfortunately, we're not in that area to where we can't wish those things. We can wish them, but we have to do our best to be able to provide the safety, and your company can do that. Thank you very much for being our a guest.
Thanks for having me.
If you are a police chief, sheriff, school district superintendent, municipal leader, bus maintenance, bus director, any of those categories that I've mentioned, and those are typical subscribers and users. If you're wanting to learn more about this, set up a demo, come out and talk and look at your environment and such, please reach out to me to arrange a meeting. You can reach out to me at 630-317-5657 or email me at rbassett@getcurrent.net, and we'll arrange with Alyssa and her team to be able to make sure that you get all the information that you need so that you can protect yourself, your community, your organization, just about protect in any aspect of that. You can also enjoy my weekly technology videos by following me on LinkedIn and YouTube at #ITYouCanThriveOn. As I say goodbye, I want to thank our producer, Brennan Lambrecht, and our sponsor, Current Technologies. Until next time, be safe.